Why do people cry during breath work? This is a question I get asked a lot, and I thought I'd answer it here, okay? So first of all, crying is actually really good for us. It releases chemicals in our body that strengthen our immune system, and it actually completes the stress cycle in our body. That's why we often feel good after a nice big cry. And people cry a lot in my classes, and I usually make the joke like, listen, if you don't cry, it's not a requirement of my classes. You don't have to cry in my classes. So if you don't cry, don't come up to me afterwards and ask me, is there something wrong with me? Yes, you're dead inside. You're dead. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. You're not dead inside. Yeah, you might be. Anyways, I'm joking. So crying, right? A lot of us didn't get permission to cry growing up, and we have to give it to ourselves as an adult. Crying is actually really good for us. We need to cry. It's a necessary function of our body. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. It's like saying well, I don't ever go to the bathroom. What? Your system's going to get backed up if you don't go to the bathroom. You have to go to the bathroom. You have to get the stuff out of your body, right? Crying is the same way. We have to release these things out of our body. And so a lot of us, or some of us, have trained ourselves, whether it's from our childhood or whatever, to not cry. And that's not necessarily a good thing. We want to cry. We want to release these emotions out of our body. And that's often what's happening during breath work. We have stuck emotions from things that have happened to us in our lives that are stuck in our nervous system. So let me talk about animals. Animals have a system by which they release the stress and the fear in their bodies when they almost get chased and killed. Like if a rabbit gets chased and gets away, it will shake to release that fear out of its body. And so I believe that crying is one of our systems by which we do that. And the breath work helps us access those old stuck emotions in our nervous system, and that's why we cry. Some people have said to me, well, I don't know what I was crying about. Well, you don't always have to know. Maybe it's not your stuff. What am I saying there? Generational trauma. Science has proven that trauma is passed on to us through our DNA. So you thought you were screwed up because of your parents, and you were right. It is their fault, but it's their parents' fault and their parents' fault and their parents' fault. So what is generational trauma? It's passed on. It's something happened, your mother was pregnant with you and something happened, that was traumatic to her or stressful for her while she was pregnant with you. There are studies that show that mothers that were pregnant at 9/11, the babies were born with higher cortisol levels. There are studies that show that great-grandchildren of Holocaust survivors have higher rates of depression and anxiety and all these different things. There was a study that was done on mice where they sprayed cherry blossom spray, and then they electrocuted the mouse, right? And then they sprayed the cherry blossom spray, and then they electrocuted the mouse. So he associated the electrocution with the cherry blossom spray. And then that mouse had babies, and they sprayed the cherry blossom spray, and that baby had a reaction like it was being electrocuted, even though it was never electrocuted. And that went on for up to 15 generations of that mouse. So 15 generations later, they're spraying the cherry blossom spray, and that mouse is having a reaction, even though it's never been electrocuted. So we have natural instincts built into our system to be fearful of snakes and spiders because they can kill us. So it's built into our genetics. It's built into our genetic code. So that's why I say trauma is passed on through the DNA. So maybe you don't even know why you have certain things. You have anxiety, you have stress, you have all these things. You're like, I had a great childhood, or I had this. I don't know why I have this stuff. But this breath work will help clear some of that stuff out of your nervous system. And so a lot of the way that we release it, that we clear it, is by crying in the breathwork session. Some people cry during the session, some people cry after the session. It doesn't matter. You don't have to cry. A lot of times, what happened to me personally and what I've seen with my students over the years is there's a lot in the beginning of the breathwork. There's a lot of stuff that comes up. For me, it was the first couple months of breathing so much. Every session I was crying like uncontrollably, having these massive emotional releases. The most common statement in my classes is, oh my God, that felt like 20 years of therapy without having to say a word. And that was my experience. So every day I was doing breathwork and I was releasing all this stuff. And then eventually there's an incredible thing that happens, and that the tears of sort of emotional pain and trauma and stuff that's happened, grief, they eventually go away, and those tears turn to gratitude. You start to get into a place of like, I'm grateful for all the things that have happened to me that have shaped me into the person that I am today. I'm grateful for the difficult things that have happened. That's what's made me an amazing person today. All the difficult things, all the challenges that have happened in my life have made me who I am today. So those tears of pain can turn to tears of gratitude. And it's an amazing process by which you go through. But you're only going to discover this, you're only going to find this out if you're willing to show up for yourself and do the work. There's some work involved in breath work. You got to show up and do the work. It's not just going to happen to you. If you want change in your life, if you want something different, you have to do something different. If you want to level up in your life, you have to start doing something different, something you're not already doing. So breathwork is that thing. You know, people go to the gym to take care of their bodies, to exercise their bodies. Well, breathwork is that internal workout, that workout for our insides, for our emotions, to shift and change our lives internally. There's 3 aspects of your life that you want to work on. Mind, body, soul, mind, body, spirit, whatever way you want to look at it, right? And so the breath work works on that emotions, the soul of our life. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got a lot from it. Please like it, share it with people, follow me, comment below. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I hope to see you in one of my classes online soon. Take care.